Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Janine McGowan, and I design cross stitch as the blue flower. Today is Saturday, the 4th of June, and this is Flosstube episode number 45. Hard to believe we've been together that long. Anyway, I just wanted to thank you again for joining me today. I've got my own hair on today because it's a beautiful overcast Saturday here in Nevada, which means I can probably do some yard work after this and not be worried about the sunshine. So I'm looking forward to that. But first, launching right in, first thing on the agenda is stitching in action, and we have several fun things to share this week. First off, pardon me, still getting over that cold. Debbie has stitched up Huckleberry Farm, and she did this on 14 count Shale Ada, so it's big on 14 count. And then she found an even bigger vintage hoop to finish it in and put some quilt fabric on the side to really set it off. I really love this finish, and I love the way that it looks perfect, even though none of the things were initially meant to go together. So well done, Debbie. Thank you so much for sharing this. Next up, Melissa. Melissa has been well and truly drunk with power. She took the central motif from Our Hearts Go Out, one of the new releases at market this year, and converted it into a small for an exchange. So well done, Melissa. That's just awesome. I love it. And I love to see people making a stitch their own any way that they can. So thank you again for sharing that. And then finally, we have a world premiere here. Sybil is the very first person to finish stitching a piece that I designed for the Willow Tree Sampler Guild to celebrate their 5th anniversary. And I didn't have a model stitched. I will revise it slightly and release it for general sales in another year or so. So this is the very first stitched version of this design. Thank you, Sybil, for doing that, and it's always a treat. I'm seeing it for the first time along with all of you, and it always comes to life when it really gets stitched. Sybil was also drunk with power, congratulations, and made some changes from the original, which I always love to see. So thank you, Sybil and Willa, for sending that in. What I'm stitching. Progress continues very slowly on the Pilsner Memorial Sampler. We pretty much all got sick again right after the last Flosstube. My husband and son got COVID. I never tested positive for COVID before or after, so it is what it is. But we've all been kind of slowly recovering. It really makes you appreciate being healthy when you're not 100% for an extended period. So I'm really looking forward to being back to 100%, but still no complaints here. All of which is a long way of saying I haven't made very much progress on the Pilsner Memorial Sampler, but it's been nice to get some of it in. This is the original design, Marianne Mitton from Merry Wind Farm, and again, it's quite large, so it's hard to show on camera. I'm going to go ahead and put a photograph in so you can see the progress that's been made over the last 2 weeks. Not much, but always good to get another section done. And I've said it before, one of the things I really like about this particular design is that even though it's very large, the border in particular comes in chunks. And so you do one set of flowers and leaves and vines, and then you do another set, and it feels like a lot of progress instead of just doing the same thing over and over and over all the way around an enormous piece. So that's what I'm working on now. Stash Spotlight is just a quickie. This is 40 count Stormy Night. It's going to be a little bit tough to see, but it's a lovely blue-gray color. It's a little bit more gray than it's showing in this light here, but I love the mottled effect, and this is directly from Zweigart. It actually reminds me a little bit of a color we used to paint our living room in Portland, which was a big deal. It was one of those where the living room extends all the way down the hall, and there are 15 bazillion windows and a ton of work that you have to do cutting in around all the edges. And the chip looks just like this. Well, it looks like it looks in person, very gray, and maybe more like that. And then when you turn the lights on at night, suddenly it's very blue. And people would always be amazed when I would show them the chip for the flower, or for the paint, that it was a completely different color than what they were seeing. But anyway, that's the way colors work, as anyone knows who's painted a room. Another diversion to say I really love this mottled effect fabric. and it's directly from Zweigart. So again, I yield to no one in my appreciation for hand-dyed fabrics, but I don't know if they've always been having all of these offerings from straight up Zweigart linens, and I just haven't come across them yet, and I'm starting to get to know them, or if they're offering them more and more as just a recognition that people like to have that option. So again, another lovely fabric your local shop can hook you up with if you're looking for that, and I know I'm looking forward to stitching something fun with this. All right, the world around. This week, it is the radish. Why the radish? Because they're very easy to grow, which makes them good for me. I was looking them up online and they were recommending them for children's gardens, which is honestly about my gardening speed. If it's good for a kid's garden and it's almost certainly not going to die, my kind of plant. But now that we have the fence and we can have a garden for the first time, we have not one but two groups of radishes going in. The first clump is about a week or two ahead of the second, doing very nicely. And then the second clump, we've got them in a slightly different location so that we're seeing how they do in different places. But we've been very fortunate so far. The rabbits haven't come in and eaten our lovely garden. I think it's because of the dogs being here. They don't get the habit of coming in to see what's on offer. So the radishes are doing very well. I was looking up radishes to get a little bit of the history. They originally developed in China thousands of years ago, had made their way to Germany by the 13th century, over to England by the Middle Ages, the 15th century, I believe, or 16th, and then over to Mexico in the 1600s or the 1500s, and then up into Massachusetts by the 1600s. So thousands of years of history. Radishes were an important item of diet in ancient Rome, ancient Greece, ancient Egypt. So a little bit of crunchy, delicious history that we're still growing for children or really, really terrible gardeners like me. They are related to a number of my other favorite vegetables: broccoli, cauliflower, and horseradish, which I didn't realize. And then every December, Oaxaca, Mexico has a Night of the Radish festival, which, just looking up online, almost looks like the Christmas festivals you'd see in Germany, where they have these elaborate displays of gingerbread houses and gingerbread dioramas and all of these things, you know, sugarcraft and Christmas treats. This Night of the Radish is about carving these enormous radishes into these fantastic shapes, all shapes, tiny ones, huge ones. It's a huge display and a festival, and what fun. So if anyone has been to the Oaxaca Night of the Radish festival, I would like to hear about that because that sounds amazing. I don't think mine will ever be big enough to be in a festival, but we will enjoy them very much no matter what size they are. Since I'm on the subject, the question for you this week is, what is your favorite vegetable? Or in fact, your least favorite vegetable? I like most vegetables, though I do have a few that I just don't eat at all, ever, if I can avoid it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Best thing. All right, I just realized that I don't have a best thing because I was doing my notes and I somehow managed to not fill that part out. So, yeah, skipping right on. Giveaway. Last week, there were 3 new designs that I announced, and I wanted to go ahead and pick 3 winners. So we have 3 names. You can pick any one of my charts for your prize. Doesn't have to be the new ones. And the 3 winners are Carol Harding, Allison Green, and KEB Studio Creations. So drop me a message, send me an email with your address and which chart you would like, and I will send that off to you. Giveaway for this week, I got, when I was at Quilter Station, these awesome, darling little, just a little box things, and inside the box is a clump of teeny tiny fabric rolls. I opened up one of them so that I could get a good look, and one of them I didn't. So there are 2 options here. One of them has this sort of rainbow colored selection of fabric, and one of them has this unopened blue, tan, very beachy sort of muted collection of fabric, and all the instructions for making a fun little, I believe it's a mini quilt. So you can certainly pick either one, the one I opened or the one I didn't, depending on the fabric that you'd like to have. And this little box would be a fun Ort container or yeah, lots of things you could use for that. I do love storage containers in all their forms. So to win this one, use the word tiny in your comments because this is a tiny, adorable little collection of fabric. Put tiny in the comments. I'll pick a winner and I will send that one to you after the next Flosstube. That is most of the Flosstube for this week. Now I have a very short puppy video at the end because we were all sick and I realized when I was putting it together no one was taking pictures of the dogs. So it's about half the length of the usual one. But the dogs had a lovely 2 weeks because we were resting a lot and they really enjoyed that. One quick announcement. This is June, so the beginning of Pride Month, and there's a new free chart on the website to celebrate that. It's just called Love, or Rainbow Love in my notes, but I just think it's a good reminder that there are an enormous spectrum of ways that we can love each other, and I think it's very important to acknowledge as many of those ways as we possibly can. So I hope this weekend and this month and through the rest of the year that you get an opportunity to show love to someone and to be shown love, maybe even in a way that is unfamiliar to you or just unexpected. So thank you very much for joining me. Again, puppy video at the end. I'm going to go say nice things to my radish plants and encourage them to continue doing such a good job growing. And I look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks. Thank you for joining me. Bye.